I got my dulcimer as I was learning music theory. And so everything I would learn in class, I would take it back to my dulcimer and just, figure out how the layout of my dulcimer is related to the things that I just learned in class. And, I'd had musical training before, so I understood notes and stuff like that. So it was really, okay, I know how music works, and I'm learning more about how music works. Let me learn how this dulcimer works and where the notes are and what this kind of thing looks like on my dulcimer and what it feels like to play it.
But Colin, it's so great to meet you here on Zoom.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Yeah,
good to meet you.
I must confess, and I hope you don't feel offended, but I've never even knew that is it the hammered dulcimer?
Yes, hammered dulcimer.
I've never even knew that existed, that instrument.
Really?
Yeah. Is that a common instrument?
It's more common. It depends on where you are. There's different versions of the instrument throughout the world. So I play the American version, and it's not common here. There's a community that plays it. There's a few thousand people that play it, but America's a big country.
Yeah.
But in Europe, different regions of Europe have different versions of the instrument, and there's a German version called the Hackbrett that is played in and around Germany. That's probably the most common one. I guess Germany and Austria, you would see it. And then in Eastern Europe, you have another version that's widely played. A few in Eastern Europe that are widely played. And you can actually go to college for it there. Over here, it's more of a folk instrument. The ones I've seen in Europe, a lot of them are more classical instruments. You'll see them played with orchestras and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah.
But how did you get to play the instrument? I mean, what was initially the attraction for you?
So when I was in school, back when I was in high school, I've played drums and percussion for a long time since I was a kid. And in high school, I had a friend that played the bagpipes. And I thought that was so cool. And I started getting into this. I listened to a lot of heavy metal back then. And I got into very interesting heavy metal from the Nordic countries. It's called folk metal. And they used a bunch of folk instruments. And I discovered the hurdy-gurdy. Have you ever heard of the hurdy-gurdy?
No.
Okay, that's a new one you should find.
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll find someone.
So I discovered the hurdy-gurdy, and through researching the hurdy-gurdy, I discovered the hammered dulcimer. And when I saw it, I said, oh, drums and percussion, but it's a cool instrument. I said, well, I have a friend that plays the bagpipes. That's cool. I want to play a cool instrument too. So my parents tried to get me one when I graduated, but they couldn't. They tried to get it from eBay and they missed the bid or something like that. But when I moved off to college, there was a lady that built them that lived right next to me, not next door, but very close by. And so I got in contact with them and went to their house and bought my first dulcimer. That was 10 years ago.
Wow. I mean, if that happens, if it happens this way, that somebody lives next door to you or near you,
Yes.
that means this is your instrument. This has to be, yeah.
I agree. It was too perfect.
Yeah. I actually spoke to a harpist once, and she told almost the same story. She said she wanted to play the harp, and there was nobody in the area that teaches the harp. And then they moved house. And when they moved house, they actually lived, I think, across the road from a harp teacher.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, yeah. So
if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
It's meant to be. Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. But I love the sound of this instrument and, really beautiful. But you haven't played it so long. It's 10 years?
10 years. Yes.
Mm. And was it easy to learn to play? Did you get somebody to teach you?
No, I didn't have an instructor or a teacher or anything. I had gone to I'd gone to school for music initially, and I ended up not finishing with a music degree. But even though I dropped my music degree, I stayed in music theory classes and stuff like that. And so as I got my dulcimer as I was learning music theory. And so everything I would learn in class, I would take it back to my dulcimer and just, figure out how the layout of my dulcimer is related to the things that I just learned in class. And, I'd had musical training before, so I understood notes and stuff like that. So it was really, okay, I know how music works, and I'm learning more about how music works. Let me learn how this dulcimer works and where the notes are and what this kind of thing looks like on my dulcimer and what it feels like to play it. So I just really married the two things I was learning together. And I would say I had an unfair advantage when it comes to learning it, because most of the people that pick up this instrument are, folk musicians, or a lot of them are actually elderly that are learning an instrument for the first time. A lot of my students are actually 65 years of age and older. I think one of them is in their 70s. So me picking it up as a young person that had percussion background and was learning music, it was much more intuitive and easy. And if you have musical experience, it's really a simple instrument to learn, but the possibilities with it are very high. You can make it very difficult. But initially playing it, I could teach you a song in 5 minutes. Very easy.
Really?
Yes.
But now, compared to what instrument, or what can you compare it with? If you say by playing it, if you think if somebody else played this specific instrument, it would be easy for them to play the dulcimer.
Well, I think if you played any kind of drums or percussion, I think it makes it much easier, just the technique of hitting it. But in terms of how it works, the layout of it, I don't know.
So
I feel like a guitar. Well, kind of. Mm-hmm. It is unique, but I feel like a guitar player might be able to pick up on it fast or faster. Because guitar playing is a lot of shapes, and the chord shapes. And that's a lot of what dulcimer is. The layout of the dulcimer is very, like on a guitar, if you take a shape and you move it up, you get the same chord, but just in a different key. And that's kind of what dulcimer is like. If you take this same shape, but you move it up to a different spot, you get something very similar, but in a different key. So I would say probably a guitar would be the closest, even though it's not a guitar-like instrument, just the layout is similar.
Yeah, but it's got strings. So how many strings does it have?
So I have probably the biggest one that they make. Mine has, I think, 132 strings.
What?
Not 132 notes, but 132 strings. Most of them are much smaller than that. Probably, I don't know, 80 strings or less. Between 70 and 80 strings, I would say, would be your average size dulcimer.
And
a lot of strings.
How often do you have to replace the strings?
I should replace them more often than I do, but it's not like a guitar where you have to replace them all the time because your fingers aren't touching it as much. There's 3 different kinds of strings on the dulcimer. I don't remember what they're all made of, but there's the bottom low end, which is similar to a guitar string. It's called a wound string, and it's a string wrapped with another string. So when you tune them, you're touching them with your finger, and over time they get kind of gunked up and gross, and they start to sound dead, like they don't resonate as much. And those you would replace a little more often, but I've had this dulcimer for 3 years, and I have not replaced those yet. I haven't replaced a single string on it.
Okay.
I don't think. But I would say I should replace those. So about 2 or 3 years, I would replace the lower ones. And then if they break, I'll replace them. But I've seen dulcimers sound great that have had 10-year-old strings on them.
Really?
So it's a weird instrument.
Yeah, but what type of music do you play? What is the genre that you play?
I don't really have a genre that I play. I play a lot of different things. I play a lot of different other instruments as well.
Okay.
So I take stuff I've learned from other instruments or different groups that I've played in, and I'll put some of them on the dulcimer. But a lot of what I play really right now is more, well, okay, on my Instagram, I play more video game music because people like to hear it. It's nostalgic for them. So I'll play a lot of that. But in terms of what I would just go play at a gig, it would be a combination of folk music. So American folk music, a lot of Irish folk music I'll play. Mixed in with that, I'll put jazz tunes.
Oh, wow.
Especially old jazz, from the 1950s and before. A lot of that works very nice on there. And then I'll even throw in some more popular tunes. I'll play some Beatles every now and again. I've played Marvin Gaye. I've played Coldplay. I just played Coldplay for a wedding. I played Red Hot Chili Peppers for a wedding, which was funny.
Amazing.
So it kind of goes all over the place.
So versatile. You can do anything with it.
Most things.
Okay.
I've played some classical on there too.
Okay. And are there classical music written for it?
Not really for the American one. It's primarily a folk instrument here. You get it's a folk instrument, and you see it a lot in the Appalachian Mountains, that area of the country. Now there have been things written for the American hammered dulcimer, but there's not really a repertoire like you would have if you went to university and learned something. Now, in Eastern Europe, yes, there is. There are pieces specifically written for the instrument, but not here. Not so much here.
Okay. So when you say you play classical, so you arrange then the music for yourself?
Yes. So we only have 2 hammers, right? We don't have 5 or 10 fingers like on a piano. So that's a big part of what I have to do is look at a piece of music or listen to a piece of music and say, would this be possible to get the main essence of the song across? And it's really weird with classical music because some of them work very well and some of them you just can't play. Like you couldn't do it on the dulcimer. But yes, I arranged them myself.
But do you think now that because you taught yourself how to play, do you find that you feel more free to do whatever, that you don't have the boundaries, or that you don't say, okay, well, I learned how to play classical music on it, so so I only play this. But you try everything.
Yes. Yeah, I'm known as the one that's going to do something off the wall that you've never heard on the dulcimer before.
Oh,
that's
I love
that's kind of my thing.
Mm-hmm. And then now with bands together, are you part of bands? A band?
No, I don't play my dulcimer with a band. I've wanted to. Unfortunately, where I live, there are musicians here, and there's some good musicians, but the style that they play most of them is not really what I want to play on my dulcimer.
Oh, okay.
And it's also not a very loud instrument. But what I would like to do is play with like an acoustic guitar player. That can be very nice.
Yes.
Or even acoustic guitar and a little percussion, I think could sound very nice. And that's something I'm working on, trying to put together. Find a guitar player that I can play with. Or even play my dulcimer with someone that is singing, I think could be nice as well.
Yeah, because the guitar is also not an instrument with a very loud tone, so that would actually work very well together.
Yeah, they mix very nicely. And it helps me a lot because whenever I play a lot of solo. And so I'm having to play both the melody and the bass and the harmony together with two hammers. And if I play with a guitar player, they're covering all that stuff, so I can more focus on the melody. It makes it way easier for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. Nice. Yeah, but now the hammers that you use, what are they made of?
Let me find a pair. There's a pair. Here's a pair here. These are just wooden. Maybe you can see it.
Yeah,
if it'll focus. It's a wooden hammer. A lot of them look similar to this with this part, like a little handle. And then the ends are either just wood or they'll put different materials on the end to just get different timbres out of the instrument. So this is a really soft, I think, felt.
Oh, okay.
Maybe felt. I've seen felt, leather, all kinds of different leathers, and I put my own material on mine that I get from the grocery store. They sell, it's called moleskin. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
So I cut strips of moleskin and put it on there because I like the sound.
Okay, so it's depending on what you put on there, you'll have a different sound.
Yes.
That is so amazing. I just absolutely, I really love the sound of the instrument. It's me interesting that you don't hear it more often, or that it's not, like you say, maybe in certain parts of the world, it's more popular. So now people, you say you teach as well. So is this an instrument that you think now also, would be more interesting for younger people to do, if you say that most of your students are a bit older?
Yes, I do think young people enjoy it, definitely. Like whenever I play it, everyone likes it. They like to listen to it. It draws you in. It's an interesting instrument. So, I do think younger people would enjoy playing it, like kids to adolescents. The problem is the accessibility of it. Like a piano is very accessible. You can go get a cheap keyboard and learn piano. There's also a lot of piano teachers. Same with guitar, drums, all very accessible. But a hammered dulcimer, usually a small one's still going to cost a few $100s. So for a parent and their child to see one and want to, be interested in it, they have to make a pretty big investment first. And I think, first of all, it's not seen very often. But second, just that initial investment of even a smaller dulcimer is like, well, you could learn the drums for a lot less. And there's a teacher that teaches drums. So it's been part of my mission to get it more in the younger audience, which is why I play video game music, because it puts eyes on it. More people know what it is. But to answer your question, yes, I do think younger people would enjoy learning it and playing it. I think it's a fun instrument to play.
Yeah, because you also mentioned before that it's not a complicated instrument to learn to play.
It looks much more complicated than it actually is. Yeah.
But I a while ago, I spoke to somebody who, they revived the lyra, the ancient lyra of Greece, and they said that basically all children in ancient Greece could play the lyra, and it was, they took it to school because it was, you could carry it and you could easily play it. And now I'm thinking if the dulcimer is also easy to play, it would be such a great instrument for children to also experiment on it, and have more the freedom to make music rather than, not that I say not classically trained, but that I say that for some children, it would be lovely just to play the instrument.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. I think it would be good if, well, first of all, if elementary and lower schools had a more robust music program, I think that would be really good. I think music is very underrated in how it helps in the development of a child.
Absolutely.
But yes, I think if a school were to purchase several of them just to have for that sake, not the students purchase them, but just have them at the school, even small ones, they're people that make ones for kids, I think would be a fantastic way to introduce a child to music, because it's very easy to play like nursery rhyme songs that they know already on the dulcimer. It's not an instrument where there's no wrong notes, because there are instruments like that where you can just hit every note and it's all part of one key or one scale. But it's very visual, and you can see if I play in this one area, all the notes sound very good. So it'd be perfect for a child.
Yeah, it's not because a violin, for example, is so complicated, and that sometimes you need a lot of hard work and dedication, but an instrument that is just really for enjoyment and expression, that would be so great.
Yeah, like with a violin, there's all kinds of initial techniques: how to hold it, how to get a good sound out of it, how to put your finger on it, where to put your finger. Whereas a dulcimer, you take a stick and you hit it and it makes a sound. It's very, if I hit this thing, it works. It's very
amazing.
Low barrier of entry.
Well, this is a great, this could be a great mission to get that into schools, really.
Yes, I really want to do that. I want to get more younger people, both for them and for the sake of the instrument. Because like I said, most of the people that play it are 65 years old and up. And eventually, there's going to be no people that play it. So I think it needs to start from the ground up now with young and get them playing. And one day there'll be more players.
The revival of the dulcimer, we'll call it.
Yes.
If there could be a revival of the lyra, then there can be a revival of the dulcimer.
I think so too, because it was a popular instrument back in the colonial days of the United States. That was what they brought over from Europe, were versions of that instrument, and because they could carry them on their back.
Okay. Yeah.
They were portable, kind of. It wasn't like a harpsichord was a lot more to take on a ship and use as an instrument than something like a hammered dulcimer. Yep.
But now, talking about that, how do you transport your dulcimer? Is it easy to, if you have to go and perform, is that like with a harp that you have to, really consider all the logistics of getting there, and or is it easy to carry?
It's definitely easier than like a classical harp, like the big harps. But I would say it's comparable to like an Irish harp that's not so intricate. I put it in a case. I make sure that it's safe. And, I can't just throw it in my car or wherever I'm going. But even though mine's a very big one, it's built very well and it's very light for how big it is. So it's not too heavy to carry around, and the stand folds up, and all of my hammers and my foot pedal and all of that fits inside the case as well. So I have a stand and a case. Now, when I'm teaching workshops or playing a gig, then I have to also bring like the equipment for that, like the speaker and stuff. But it's really minimal for how much you could play on the instrument. It's pretty minimal. Not as minimal as a guitar, of course, but for what it is, it's really portable. and they make them smaller and lighter than what I play. So I have friends who fit them on the overhead bin on a plane. They bring them as their carry-on. Yes.
Well, that would be just perfect for children then as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
They make some really small ones. That would be good. Yeah.
Amazing. But now, Colin, you said you play other instruments as well. So
I do.
What instruments do you play?
So the main one that I'm playing a lot of now is the steel drum or steel pan. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I saw also on your Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm playing a lot of now. And actually today I have a gig playing that if it doesn't rain, but I think it's going to rain and get canceled.
Okay.
But I'm working on that a lot, more jazz music on that. Those are the two melodic instruments I play, are those two. I can play a little bit on piano, but I'm not a piano player. I use it to write things and figure out stuff. But I play a whole bunch of different percussion. So drum set I play, but I play more Latin percussion. So like Afro-Cuban percussion, like congas and bongo and timbales. But then I play a lot of Brazilian percussion as well. So an instrument called the pandeiro, a little bit of djembe, which is African, and some other Brazilian drums I'll play. I have to look around my room. There's stuff everywhere, but there's probably more that I haven't mentioned. But a lot of different percussion instruments I've learned and kind of figured out how to play more authentically, I guess. I'm not just hitting them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you study the culture or the way it's meant to play, and then you play it that way. Oh, okay.
Yes. Yep, so I love it.
Is it a sort of a addiction to have all the different drums?
I don't want to say it's an addiction to have the drums. It's an addiction to learn. I guess it's more of an addiction to learn, and then I have to have that interest to learn it before I want the drum. It's not so much the other way. It's like, because I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, like give me all the stuff. I want all the guitars and all the drums, and I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like, I don't want to buy it unless I know I really am going to learn it.
Oh, okay.
Which has saved me because I already have so many instruments.
Yeah.
That if I were a different type of person, I would have way more, and I wouldn't know what to do with them. You know.
Yeah. But why this fascination with the drums?
I think it comes from when I was in college. So, well, kind of. It does. But the same way I got into folk music or folk metal when I was in high school, I just have always been interested in stuff that is more, I don't want to say cultural, but kind of cultural. And unique to different areas. And also stuff that nobody knows about, or at least my peers didn't know about. And in college, now, while I didn't finish with a music degree, I did spend a lot of time in music classes. I took way more music classes than I should have. And I played a lot with the percussion studio, with the people that were playing and majoring in percussion. Most of my friends came from there. I was on the drum line and everything. And I played steel drums in the university steel band. And actually, I still do. And from that, we played music from the Caribbean. We played Brazilian music. We played Afro-Cuban music. We played all kinds of music from Latin America. And eventually that caught my interest. And I started, I was like, I wonder if I could put Latin music on the dulcimer. So I wanted to play it all myself. So I wanted to learn how to play the congas so I could play Latin music with my dulcimer. And it just I just kept digging stuff up from there. And then I started listening to more of the music and learning about the instruments and stuff. And I would buy an instrument and then learn it. And it just, yeah, it becomes an addiction at that point. It's like, oh, like how many more styles of music like are out there that are interesting.
Yeah.
And so it's really grown from there.
But would you say that all these different types of music that you play, that they cross over, that they influence each other when you play it, because you're playing different types of music, and also the different drums, but that in some way it crosses over.
Yes, they do. But the more, and I think this goes for most people that have learned different styles of music, the more that you learn the different styles of music, the more that you understand when to keep certain aspects of them separate. So something common that I see is, so here in America, we have marching bands that march on a football field, and they make these formations and stuff and play music. And they play these shows that have themes, and a lot of them I've seen play Latin shows, right? That's the theme of the show is Latin. And when I think of that, I'm like, well, South America's huge. There's tons of countries. They all have different kinds of music. And so they play these Latin shows, and they'll play like a Brazilian tune, but then they'll play Cuban rhythms over it. And that's you don't do that. Like, you'll never hear that happen. And I think the more that you learn, the more you understand those types of things.
Oh,
I can bring some influences from these things, but like there are certain rhythms that you don't want to mix with certain styles of music.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
I do a lot of it too. I dulcimer gumbo. Do you know what gumbo is?
No.
Okay, so gumbo is a stew that comes from Louisiana. It comes from New Orleans. And traditionally, back in the day, what they would do was the community came together, and whatever ingredients they had, that's what went into the gumbo.
Oh, okay.
And so dulcimer gumbo is essentially that. It's everything that I've learned and know, I put into and incorporate the dulcimer into it.
Amazing.
And I bring all these influences in.
Yeah.
But just like with the gumbo, some ingredients don't mix together. Same with music. Sometimes you don't want to put these two things together, but you learn what does work together, and it gets really fun.
Yeah,
so yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do that.
Now I can understand what you mean, and that you know the boundaries, you know where to go, but you also know the boundaries.
Yes. Well, I'm learning the boundaries. I'm sure I still break them sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, always learning.
Yeah. But now, Colin, tell me what is the wish for you for the future, or what would you like to see happening with the dulcimer and all the instruments you're playing?
Really, I think what we talked about earlier, getting the younger generation involved in the dulcimer, or getting the dulcimer into the world of the younger generation, I think is the big thing that I want to see. This, like I said earlier, what I play on the dulcimer is usually what no one else has ever played on it. And it's part of that. I mean, I use the dulcimer as a blank slate for all of my interests, rather than thinking of the dulcimer as a folk instrument and only playing folk music on it. So in a way, I want the dulcimer to be seen as its own instrument and not put into a category of instruments. And I think that starts with the younger generation.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people that I've met that are older haven't understood that as well, but I think whenever you have younger people doing it, that's when they start putting their own little stuff to it. You get all these. That's where we're really our most creative, is when we're kids, and so that's really what I want to see. I want to see the instrument grow. I want to see more people playing it, playing different things on it, doing stuff I've never seen before, and I would like it to be more well known, but not too well known. I don't want it to be mainstream because I like the novelty of it. When people see it, they're like, "Oh, what is that?" I like that. But yeah.
But I think also you show the possibilities, and I love that you do that on Instagram because, you know, it's great to see that, and it's I'm very happy that I saw you on Instagram because it's I find it so fascinating what you do, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful sound, you know, the instrument, and so and like you say that it will inspire, and it should for the younger generation. There will also be maybe somebody who absolutely fall in love with the instrument because of that, for all the possibilities that there are. You know, so
yep, that's what I hope is that more people will. And I've had plenty since my Instagram in the past just few months it just grew very fast. I don't know why. But since then, I've had plenty of people reach out to me from Instagram asking, like, where do I get one? Are there teachers?
Really?
How much are they? Can I get one if I live in this country? So at least from that, there seems to be more interest, which is what I like. I like that something I'm doing is helping people get interested in the instrument.
Absolutely, yeah. But Colin, tell me now, what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self?
My 16-year-old self. Like life advice or like pertaining to what I do today?
Yeah. What you do today in music.
Okay. I would tell him...
Or life advice you can also give. Because 16 is a difficult age, isn't it?
Yeah. In some ways, yes. In other ways, it was a lot easier. But I would probably tell him to learn music. Not because when I was I know that's weird to hear, but when I was 16, I was on the drum line, and that's what I played. I just wanted to play drumline stuff all day. And I think if I could convince him to learn actual music and learn to, learn my scales and my keys and learn the layout of a piano and how it works and all the chords. If I could convince him to get interested into that way back then, yeah, I think I can only imagine where I would be today, because all that stuff has happened in the past 10 years, I guess, or less than 10 years. And I know if I'd done it when I was a kid and I had all kinds of time to invest into it, yeah, I would have been much further along, and I could spend more time today focusing less on like learning those basic things, because I'm still learning basic things, especially when it comes to like ear training and hearing melodies and stuff like that. That's kind of where I'm at now. But yeah, that's what I think. Get interested into music rather than drums.
And expand the horizon a little bit.
Yes, your musical horizon.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because I was into weird music back then.
Really?
So I was already listening to interesting stuff, but yeah.
Well, that shaped you and made you the musician you are today. So
yeah, it did.
It's also a good thing.
It definitely did. But that's the big thing I see now is, man, I didn't value the music part of music. I just valued, like, I don't know, the sound, I guess. I listened to music more as, this sounds cool, rather than like actually what's going on here. Why does it sound cool? I think. I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's my answer.
But that's great advice. No, definitely great advice. But Colin, this was so great talking to you. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for reaching out.
It's a great pleasure. No.
Yeah, very much appreciate it. And it's been a pleasure talking with you. And in this interview, you asked some good questions. So you made it very easy for me to answer. So thank you.
I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah.
But I'll still follow you on Instagram. And thank you so much for the beautiful music that you put on there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you should listen to some other dulcimers from across the world.
I'm going to look for them. And if you find somebody and you can connect me, then please do.
Yes.
I would love to, to bring more awareness also to this instrument. And whenever you do any project with children, please let me know. I would love to follow up on that as well.
I can do that. And where are you from again?
I'm in Vienna, in Austria.
Okay. Okay. I think I know some people in the area.
Okay.
That play.
Please let me know. And whenever you come to Vienna, please let me know.
Okay, I would love to go to Vienna.
Yeah. Come and do a concert here and let me know.
One day I'll be over there. Definitely.
Okay.
But I can do that.
Then you give me a call and we meet for a coffee.
Okay.
And I come to your concert, definitely.
Yes, okay. That'd be awesome. Well, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, Colin, and have a lovely evening.
You as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.